Hi folks, it's Dr. Samantha Benjamin Allen here again to talk to you about another topic. Today we are going to talk about neglect, abuse, and exploitation. I'm going to keep this in the context of adults in the healthcare setting, but certainly these things can apply for children as well. So just be aware of this as we seek to protect our most vulnerable out in society. So let's define them first. So neglect is that when there's a duty to do so, someone is not providing the needs of the one they're responsible to care for, whether it be food, the things that they need to ensure their safety and well-being. So shelter, warmth from the cold, the basic necessities, even the attention that they need to get their activities of daily living done or their hygiene needs achieved on a regular basis. Now, exploitation is the illegal use of assets of someone who's disabled or incapacitated for the personal benefit of the caregiver. So, for example, if someone's receiving Social Security benefits and the caregiver is obviously not using them to take care of the bills of the home or to provide the food and the care that the individual who's receiving those benefits needs, that would be considered exploitation. And abuse is intentional injury to a person, whether it be physical, emotional, sexual, or verbal, that has caused or could be expected to cause harm, fear, intimidation, or mental anguish. Now, some signs that someone is being abused is even the perpetrator withdrawing from the person, or isolation, or if you see that hygiene needs aren't being met, activities, daily living needs aren't being met, the person is isolated, or whenever the perpetrator enters a room, or if they're conversant, having a conversation, they stop talking, or you notice they withdraw, or something just changes in the atmosphere that signals that they are uncomfortable and don't feel safe. Frequent UTIs or bruises between the thighs, or bruises anywhere really, from being grabbed or hit or something like that. And verbal abuse can look like, insults, yelling, screaming, demeaning words towards the person who is disabled or in need of care. And sexual abuse is non-consensual sexual behavior with the individual who either cannot understand or consent or has not consented to the activity. It can get much deeper than that, but I just wanted to try to keep it simple because this is an issue that we face in the healthcare setting when it comes to those who are disabled or recovering from illness. And the state authorities have made opportunity available to people who suspect abuse to report it because we want to protect the vulnerable in our society. So I'm going to leave some links to those resources with this video. So if you have a strong conviction that something is not right and someone is being abused, it can be reported. And the websites also have some information on what you need if you're going to report it, like information on who the victim is and who the perpetrator is, what their relationship to one another is, what evidence you have that or circumstance is giving you an indication that there's abuse going on, etc. Now, I just want to leave you a little anecdotal story. There was a patient that I worked with who was fully independent and unfortunately sustained a fracture, ended up in the hospital, and had some complications in the hospitalization and was discharged to a skilled nursing facility and was made non-weight bearing on one leg. So because she was unable to put weight on one leg, and she lived alone. She needed caregiver assistance to get her through the recovery process so she could get to a place where she was more independent. But unfortunately, at this facility, she suffered more complications and neglect, leading to stage 4 ulcers. She wasn't being moved, ended up getting to a point where she was no longer eating. She became fully dependent, wasn't talking anymore, and the family decided they were going to take her out of that place because it seemed like they were leaving her for dead. And they said, "Doc, you gotta come over and try to help us figure out what we can do as caregivers to help get her to a better place, because we know her potential and we know what she was before she ended up in the hospital. And if we leave her in the state she's in at that facility, she won't make it out." So they took her home, and I went in and I assessed her and gave them some instructions on things to do to help restore her function and get her healing and, restoration achieved. And in 6 weeks, she was following commands. She was sitting up with minimal assistance. She was talking again, and she was healing from her stage 4 ulcer significantly. It was nearly closed, and it was large. And I'm only telling you this story to help you see what difference it makes to have the expertise of a physical medicine and rehabilitation physician on your team when someone is going through a situation like that. And I just want to let anyone know, who's struggling with a circumstance that sounds like this, that there's potential beyond what it looks like. And there's hope. And a lot of places might look at the age of an elderly person and use that as an excuse not to try much, or say there's nothing more they can do. And that's not always the case. So if you are struggling with a loved one or a caregiver of a loved one going through a situation like this, I invite you to join me at Freedom Wellness Physiatry, where you'll get an individualized treatment plan to help you achieve increased independence, mobility, and function, and work towards a goal of optimal health and wellness, so you can live a life of purpose. Go to www.freedomwellnessphysiatry.com. That's Freedom Wellness Physiatry, physiatry spelled PHYSIATRY.com, and book an appointment. Or you can call 240-339-5377. All right, have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.